Hi and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'm going to show you the basics of using the Big Shot. When you purchase the Big Shot, it usually will come with the multi-purpose platform and some cutting pads. So this one is a new one. You can see that it's clear, pretty clear. I cut a couple things on it. And this one is a well-loved one. And that is fine. It works just fine. You don't need to constantly be getting new ones. I brought this out so you can see the difference. And then another thing that I like to get is the magnetic platform. And this just really helps because the dies will want to adhere to it. So it's one of my favorite accessories that go with the Big Shot. So to me, it's a basic and necessary item. Okay, so in the 2019-2020 Stampin' Up! Catalog, on page 190, you will see our cutting and embossing tools. And it starts with our dies. And it goes for a couple pages until 197. Whoops. Excuse me. And then on the next page, on 198, is our embossing folders. And I'm going to show you both how to use the dies and the folders today. So the dies we're going to use are whoops, must have passed it. Let's see. Yep. Oh. Okay. We're going to use the stitch labels, kind of dark up here, sorry. And we're going to use Nature's Roots. So those are the dies we're going to use. And then the embossing folder is this leaf one. Sorry, it's dark up here at the top, but the layered leaves in 3D. Okay, so we're going to put that off to the side and pull out our tool. Okay, so let's start with cutting. So when you cut, you make like a sandwich. And so you can either put your multi-purpose platform down first or your magnetic platform. And then you want to pretend that these two are your bread. So they need to be on the outside of what's inside, just like if you're making a peanut butter sandwich. You put peanut butter on the inside and the bread is on the outside. So you're going to put one platform or cutting pad down first, and then you're going to put your paper and your die. So I'm going to cut 2 dies at a time. So the magnetic platform kind of helps keep these dies from moving. Now my plate is kind of warped, and so you can see that there's a little bit of give there. So it's not going to stay perfect sometimes it shifts. So you can use a little bit of washi tape if you'd like to keep it there, but I'm just gonna have faith that it doesn't move. And I'm gonna use the clear one so I can see on top. So I can see that they didn't move when I applied the pressure. So we've got the 2 cutting pads, my paper, and a die, okay? And then that just gets run through. And it's cut out our images. And I just love how quick and easy it cuts out the things that I want to use on my cards. And then you can just do it again. Okay, so now I'm done cutting out my stamped images. So I'm going to put those in a pile and move these over to the side. and throw this away. Okay, so the next thing is that in both of the nature roots and the stitch labels, they have these embossed images. So I don't know if you can see that, but this actually doesn't cut out the paper. This just embosses it with this leaf pattern. And I've got 3 of those. So I'm going to show you, and we're going to emboss on this Mossy Meadow cardstock. So I'm just going to place these on my cardstock. So we still are using the magnetic platform, and we're using the clear plates, and we're just making our sandwich just like before. So we've got our cardstock and then our embossing dies, and then on top. And just run that through. Oops. Okay, and you can see, whoops, maybe not. Maybe I need to move my light. Can you see that they have been embossed? There, that's a little bit better. Okay, so I want to use them on my card, so I want to actually cut them out. Okay, so I'm just going to cut them out with the dies. So I've got a small one. I'll move it so we can see a little bit in the light. So I've got this small one. So because there's give, I'm going to flip it over so that it sits a little tighter to the magnetic platform, so it doesn't want to shift so much on me. Alright, that one's lined up. I'm just going to run those 2, and then I'll run the big one on my next one. Okay. So those, you can tell, those have been cut out and embossed. And then we're going to do the big one. Great. Okay, so I've got those 3 done. Put that to the side. Dies together so I don't lose anything. It's one of the things that happens to me a lot, is that I lose stuff. Okay, now we're going to cut. This is from the Stitched Labels die, and I just love all the details. We're just going to cut that next right here, and this is Pear Pizzazz cardstock. Oh, keep bumping that, I'm sorry. Okay, and then, so you just want to make sure all the little pieces have come out. If not, you can get something to poke them out with. And then I want to actually, so this is another one that embosses. So it does this kind of crisscross pattern. And it embosses, and I'm going to actually add that right here to the middle. Okay, there we go. So you can see that I've cut the label and I've embossed in the center. That's kind of a fun technique. So the next thing we're going to do is use the embossing folder, and we're going to use the layered leaves. Is that what it was called? And we're just going to put it on some white, Whisper White cardstock. So you just want to make sure it's centered so that the whole cardstock is going to be embossed, and you're going to close it. And instead of the magnetic platform, we're going to use our multi-purpose, and it kind of will tell you what things you need for each tab. So this one is a wafer thin die, and then you've got these other ones, embosslets, sizzlets, so if you're using it with some other products, you can use it with that. And then this says to use it with the embossing folders, right there, paper embossing folder. and it kind of tells you how to use it with a sandwich. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to put my sandwich in. Now sometimes these new ones are a little thick. Okay, so you see how it won't go through? I don't want to force it. So I'm going to take out this one and we're going to try it with just that. Okay, so that went through, but it felt really loose, and I'm not sure that it embossed my paper very well. So let's look. Yeah, it's just lightly embossed. Can you see that? So we're gonna try again. So I didn't move my paper at all. We're gonna put that in, and I'm gonna add a shim. Now, a shim can be anything. I just keep some scrap paper around that I'm not using and that's folded. So this is 2 layers of just regular paper, and I'm gonna add that in my sandwich and put this on top. And then I'm gonna test and see how that feels. Okay, so that went through really easy again. So I'm gonna add another shim. And this is just 1 layer. So now I have 3 layers of just paper. Okay, so let's see how that embossed. Oh, that did much better. So you can see that I now have a better embossed image. Okay. So just don't force it, especially when you're using these embossing folders, because they are much thicker than some other styles. And so you just want to make sure that you go down to where it feels easy, and then if you need more, just to add some shims. And you can use cardstock, copy paper. If you really needed to, you could use chipboard, but that might be too thick. So just give it a try and don't force it. Okay, so I think we have used our big shot, all the things we needed to do for our big shot for our card. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this card together. So I've got some Sahara Sand card as my card base, and that is just normally cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and then scored at 4 1/4. And this Whisper White is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I'm just going to adhere that with some Snail. Actually, I'm going to use this tear and tape because sometimes with this embossed paper, it has a hard time staying in place with just Snail. So I'm going to just put some on the top and bottom. And I love this tear and tape. You can just pull it off and it's super sticky. Okay, so we've got our embossed paper, which is so beautiful. And then we're just going to kind of layer some pieces. So I have the You Are Wonderful from the Rooted in Nature stamp set. And we're just going to kind of play with this. So I kind of have a general idea of where I want everything. So I'm just going to pull it off and kind of work backwards. Okay, and these ones I'm going to put with some mini dimensionals. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of twine and just kind of loosely wrap this around your hand a couple times and then make kind of like a bird's nest kind of look. Oops. Fluff it out. Okay. Well, it's a little big for me. Let's make it a little smaller. Maybe a little tighter. that's better. Okay, and then I'm going to add that with some dimensionals. And I like to put my dimensionals over my twine so that it doesn't come undone. And that's just going to go right there in the middle, and you can see kind of where the middle is. And let's cut this down. You don't need it to be so in your face. All right, so there is my card made with 2 different Big Shot dies and an embossing folder. I think it turned out pretty cute. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you've learned how to use your Big Shot. If you have any questions or comments, you feel free to leave them below. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share. If you'd like to purchase any of the products you've seen me use today, there is a link below in the description. Thanks for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.